Titans, go!
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs, back in Titans Tower, or in fact, Doom Manor this time again, as we talk Doom Patrol with my favorite Titan Talker, everybody's favorite Titan Talker, Jesse Jackson. Hi, Jesse. How are you today?
I am good. It is good to be back in Doom Patrol Manor.
Yes.
Excited to talk about the Paw Patrol.
Yes, Paw Patrol will be our discussion here in episode 25, and happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody, as we record this on March 17th, 2019.
Yes.
So, yours truly being Irish, this is obviously a day I celebrate.
Yes, and I will later change into green if I go out into the public. Right now I'm in my Superman shirt. So, happy St. Patrick's Day. It's on a Sunday as we record this, but we did a little bit of stuff at work. We had St. Patrick's Day buttons, and we had, shamrock cookies Friday at work.
Okay. So, well, that's good. So that's kind of how we do things here in America. In Ireland, it's a little different over there.
Yes, it is.
But here in the States, we kind of go for every Irish stereotype known to man.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So let's talk some Doom Patrol. So we're going to talk, as Jesse mentioned, Paw Patrol, the 5th episode of Doom Patrol Season 1, just released a couple of days ago on March 15th, 2019, written by Shoshana Sachi, who previously wrote the episode Donkey Patrol.
Oh, okay.
And directed by Larry Tang, who's a director that does a lot of CW, DC television series for all those Greg Berlanti shows.
Okay, very nice.
So no surprise to see him here as well. And so, Jesse, what did you think about this episode before we get into our guest cast this week?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. They did a shout out to me.
Right.
Are all Springsteen fans, and so that, of course, gave it some extra.
Did it give kind of bump up your grade a little bit?
It did. I will, spoilers.
No bias there. It's easy to get a better grade from Jesse once you throw in some Springsteen references.
Absolutely. What was interesting, and I'll just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off on this part. I woke up as an old man, I get up to use the bathroom.
Right.
And as I was going back to bed, I said, wait a minute, Crazy Janie. And the Spirit in the Night, one of Bruce's early songs, and I will not read much lyrics, but it starts with Crazy Janie and her mission man were back in the alley trading hands. Long came Wild Billy with his friend G-Man, all dubbed up for Saturday night. So Crazy Jane is certainly not a unique name, but in my mind, I'm going to think that Grant Morrison is a Springsteen fan and said, "Oh, Crazy Janie, Spirit of the Night, that would work."
Well, Morrison created Crazy Jane back in 1988, 89.
Yeah.
So as long as that was after Springsteen's reference, I guess it counts.
Yeah, Spirit in the Night was one of the early songs that he wrote.
Well, maybe he did pick that up then.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting the feeling you should have done the theme for this week. As we get into
almost thought about that.
Because you probably would have been better at it than I did this week. All right. Okay, so our guest cast this week, we get the return.
By the way, just
go
because anyone listening who is a cross-reference, Spirit in the Night was on Bruce Springsteen's very first album, Greetings from Ashbury Park, which was in 1973.
Okay, well, good. So there you go.
Okay.
All right. So
and then in 75, Manfred Mann did a version, which was, so that would have been a little closer to the punk scene that we saw in 1977.
Okay.
I'm moving on now. Continue on.
Okay. I had a feeling we might slip into set listing Bruce a little bit this week.
Well, I
was prepared. I was prepared for that.
I just wanted to make sure that you were. This is a very
properly informed, yes.
A very early Springsteen song.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Obviously, you're our go-to reference for Bruce Springsteen.
I try.
All right. So, guest cast this week. Because this is part 2 of a 2-part story, we get the return of Mark Sheppard as Willoughby Kipling, who we talked about last week, and because we're both big Doctor Who fans. And we get the return of Alan Tudyk as Mr. Nobody after a couple of episodes off. And we get the return of...
By the way, did you not love that he mentioned that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the fact that was actually addressed in the show that he wasn't around for the past couple episodes. Yes,
that was awesome.
That was pretty good. Lily Birdsell, of course, is Mother Archon, and Michael C. Alaba as the rather inert Father Archon. We get the return of Curtis Armstrong as Ezekiel the Cockroach, who makes his return once again. Hasn't been seen also since Donkey Patrol, and perfectly willing to be a prophet for the D creator in this story, which I thought was rather funny.
It was a very funny scene.
We get the introduction of Ezra Buzzington as Dr. Bertrand, Jane's psychiatrist, or at least the person overseeing Jane's case, and also her torturer in a bit of ways later,
yes,
as we find out during the episode. He was in some episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Leverage, and Justified, among other things. Tyler Buckingham, who played Frank, his little henchman orderly guy, the one that kicks Jane repeatedly and as she laughs, which I thought was interesting. He was in episodes of The Walking Dead, Halt and Catch Fire, the AMC series starring Lee Pace, and interestingly, The Vampire Diaries. So
okay,
he's been those. Jeanette O'Connor, who played Older Marilyn, the big Springsteen fan.
Yes.
She's been in some interesting places. She's been on the Preacher TV series recently. She was also in episodes of Castle. And here's a fun one, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh, nice.
So back in the day. And so I thought that was rather interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we get the return of Chantel Berry as Baphomet, the Oracle, who we find out has a thing for the Chief, interestingly enough.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Well, he's got that silky smooth voice.
Yes,
as she
he does.
points out. All right. So, main topics. Now, I really wanted to do Bruce Springsteen
yes,
topics, but in the process of going through that, I noticed something.
Yes.
That Bruce Springsteen song titles don't really work for our topics.
Okay.
Because they're not really fun titles.
Okay.
A lot of them are they're very serious.
All right. So
do you have any that you
no,
would like
well,
to recommend?
so why don't we have the fun
Yes.
of you give me the topic, your topic title, and
Okay.
I will see if while we're talking about it, I can come up with one.
Okay. Now, I do have a theme, but
Okay.
But if you can come up with something Bruce Springsteen related, that's perfectly okay.
Okay, perfect.
So topic number 1 I want to talk about is the Chief, Willoughby Kipling, and Mr. Nobody.
Okay.
All right. Now, the topic I recommended, and there is a theme, was I Will Survive. Hey, hey.
So very much since
Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah, I will. You Can Ring My Bell plays a huge part in this. So there is that's a certainly good kind of theme to go through. I would probably go Brothers Under the Bridge or Blood Brothers, because they are, in this incident, as I tried to think, they are united brothers. They are not very happy family, but they are trying to all unite on the same cause.
Yeah, that's one of the things we find out, is that at one point Kipling left the chief for dead in a cavern, and I thought that was rather interesting.
So did I.
But apparently they have this kind of like antagonistic relationship, but they respect one another, which is very interesting.
I think that is the perfect description of it. Really, really done well. Yeah. I am a recent reader of Good Omens. But
fantastic book.
I know one of your favorite books. Yes.
I really recommend it. Yes.
We may have to do a special. I don't know. It doesn't belong in Next Stop Everywhere. It doesn't belong in this. But we just may have to do a special across the board, put it across to discuss this. But one of the premises is an angel and a demon get together because they don't want the world to end, because the world's too much fun. And so this is similar. They all have different reasons, but the reality is we don't want the world to end. And Mr. Nobody is kind of, well, if the world's going to end, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let someone else do it. Right. So I really love it. Alec Tudyk is always amazing, but as Mr. Nobody, he just slam dunks it every time. Yeah. It is just the perfect blend of humor and craziness, and I love him narrating it and talking kind of to the audience. There's one line where he says,
breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. If he said, okay, we got to wrap this up or else this two-parter is going to become a trilogy.
Yes.
It was just wonderful. So I love that they came up with a plan. I thought it was a interesting plan, and it wasn't quite clear what they were going to do. You kind of figured a little something, and then when it was paid off, was really great. So I loved the three of their discussions back and forth.
Yeah, it was really interesting because when we pick up, we find Mr. Nobody. He's kind of like in this white space realm, and he's actually human here, or at least it has the humanoid appearance of Alan Tudyk. And the chief, for whatever reason, is being spun around him over and over, possibly just kind of like a torture thing.
Yeah.
That Mr. Nobody's doing to the chief. And then the chief, Mr. Nobody's talking about how, like you said, he's really annoyed with the decreator. And he's like, really frustrated. And the chief says, well, we can stop him. And that kind of gets Nobody's attention. So he stops him spinning. The chief falls to the floor or wherever, what kind of surface, and they come up with this plan, to essentially do what the decreator's religion, the cult of the unwritten book, did, only in reverse. And so they come up with this plan to that they need to go back into the past and essentially have someone promote the religion of the recreator, a complete opposite of the decreator, someone who could bring things back.
Yes.
That the decreator decreated. And so it's a little odd, and part of this deal is that for a brief time at least, the chief can return to the Doom Patrol. And interestingly enough, he returns and he's able to walk, which makes the Doom Patrol really suspicious. So what did you think about the idea that when he came back he was walking?
So at first I thought it might have been a hologram.
Right.
Or something along that line. one little thing I noticed, Charles, is when the chief stops spinning.
Yes.
And he's trying to get up off the floor. Timothy Dalton does a really good job of not using his legs.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed that little subtle, he's pushing himself up, but that's...
Yeah, because all he could use is his arms, obviously. Yeah.
And so I thought that was a really nice thing. I thought of this going, the way they've written this show, even when you're not there, you're there.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of the chief, even though either in flashbacks or in visions or coming on.
He's still involved.
Yes.
In the show. Yes.
Yeah. And so I was glad to see this. I also like the idea, him saying to Mr. Nobody, you promised I could say goodbye, even though he didn't let them. I mean, it was almost like Mr. Nobody didn't double cross him, but but in a way he did double cross him. He at least he found
that loophole, and he still had to be a dick.
Yes, exactly.
To the chief. Yeah.
Yes, that's
and you notice he was kind of that way earlier, because when the chief first returns to Doom Manor.
Yeah.
And I love this moment where he's like rifling through the cabinets, and you're like, what is he looking for? And then he comes across the drawer that has the chocolate stash in it.
Yes, and he
gets his chocolate fix because he's a chocoholic, as we talked about. And so I love that consistency. But when anybody mentions the name Mr. Nobody, apparently the chief is forced to vomit, to regurgitate, and uncontrollably. So even though Mr. Nobody brought the chief back and he can make him walk, he still couldn't resist putting that little dig in, that little twist that anytime they say Mr. Nobody's name that this happens. And so he's obviously not going to let it's kind of I think a reminder as to who's really in charge here.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting. So the chief has to essentially convince everybody that, hey, well, this is the plan. And they're kind of skeptical about it until Kipling kind of stands up and says, okay, I'm kind of like down with this plan. I respect that you're making the hard call here. And I realize that, because of this disaster that you had to make a very uncomfortable alliance. Yes. So what did you think of that moment?
I was really happy with that. They were, the idea that these guys are wanting to stop the world from ending, and no matter, politics makes strange bedfellows.
Right.
The idea of so we had to do that. I thought it was clever and well done. Right. because you were sitting there last week. Oh my goodness, how are we going to do this? And so I was very happy with the end.
Yeah, it's almost like to kind of get on a little bit of a next stop everywhere tangent here. It was like after having just watched the episode Legopolis in the theaters.
Yeah.
It's where the fourth Doctor has to team up with the Master to save the universe.
Exactly.
Like they're enemies, but they're forced to work together because they realize that neither of them wants the universe to go away.
Yes, absolutely.
So they have a common goal, at least.
Good.
So I thought that was interesting. Mr. Nobody, his contribution here is to essentially because of being who he is, he's able to project back in time.
Yeah.
And have a conversation with one of Jane's personalities, who we'll talk about here in a minute. But so he's the one that kind of plants that seed, saying, "Hey, I need you to do this."
Yes.
And that ultimately, in almost a very Doctor Who way, a very timey-wimey way, by planting that seed in the past, it goes through time and allows the solution to be revealed in the present.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
I agree.
And so the Chief, interestingly, has some he has a couple of good moments with some of the team. Like he kind of, like, even though he's still kind of being coerced by Mr. Nobody, he kind of still tries to give advice when he can.
Yes.
Like he talks to Vic about his father, and then he talks to Larry about, the negative spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And even Rita a little bit. So, did you find that interesting at all, that the Chief was giving advice even in the middle of all this?
No, I believe that's what he does.
Right.
I believe that is what he can do. He can't. What I find interesting, Charles, is all three of these blood brothers, if we stick to that,
right,
are flawed individuals. The Chief is trying to do good, but he also has done a lot of manipulation and unkind things in the spirit of trying to help. Mr.
Yes.
Nobody is BS crazy, but at the same time, he is able to, he's trying to help things. And, and our chaos magician is all about helping, but at the same time, not the nicest person. So
No.
I thought this was kind of an interesting mix of good and bad people.
Right.
Complicated.
Yeah, I mean, and Kipling's just more of the kind of guy that's like, all right, whatever it takes to get this goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like whatever it takes to save the universe. If we have to team up with the bad guy, like, let's do it.
Yes.
Even though some of the Doom Patrol members might have reservations about this, Kipling's just wants to get the job done.
Yeah.
Because hey, he sees he's the big picture guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about these characters before I
move
on?
I loved it. It was great. I was very, very happy.
And Timothy Dalton does a wonderful job here once again.
As
the Chief,
he does. I really thought that, in my mind, his Penny Dreadful role is truly one of the best roles he's ever had. This is I beating it in my mind.
Yeah, well, here he gets to do a little bit of comedy, especially in the scene where he's having to, like, he's vomiting and he's regurgitating and he's trying to talk to somebody and he kind of like spits the rest, whatever's left in his mouth, off to the side.
Yeah.
And so he gets to be a little, and I know he can be funny because I saw him in the movie Hot Fuzz.
Right.
And with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. And he's really good in that. So I knew he had comedic chops. And so he's able to bring that here to the Chief.
Yeah.
So the Chief isn't just always this super serious character, which I like.
Very good.
And and obviously with his chocolate fetish obsession.
Yes, that is. Yeah. He plays that such fun. And then
and we even get to see him later at the end of the episode.
I was going to exact same thing. Like he's chomping on the candy bar
the chocolate bar,
driving Jane.
Yeah, so I love that. I'm really glad they're keeping that up.
Me too.
All right, let's do topic number 2.
Okay.
And my topic title for this was "You Should Be Dancing," yeah, which of course is the Bee Gees classic from Saturday Night Fever. And this is Dr. Harrison. I want to talk about Dr. Bertrand and the cult of the rewritten book.
Yes.
So this would be like Marilyn and whatnot. So as we find out, the reason I do the dancing thing is because of the cult of the rewritten book shows up at the present day dancing, because they were told by Dr. Harrison, Jane's personality, to dance.
Yes.
So what did you think about all Dr. Harrison, Dr. Bertrand, which is a rather serious, and then we kind of go into the whole cult of the unwritten book with Dr. Harrison being the founder of that religion.
Yeah, so I loved the way.
Do you have any Springsteen title for that?
Of course.
First, like Dancing in the Dark? Or
something? You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. Right. This gun's for hire, even if we're just dancing in the dark.
Yeah.
Message keeps getting clearer. Radio's on, and I'm moving around the place. So, yeah. I love the way Jane is going and setting this up.
Yes.
And then things get rolling. And all of a sudden, her fellow patients get a mind of their own. Like, oh, why's it got to be a guy? Yeah, I do that. Let's make it a dog. Yeah, everyone likes a dog.
Yeah.
And then should it make sense that everyone can see this all the time? No. Yeah. How about only if a bell?
The writing should be invisible.
Yeah, and they start taking this on.
Right.
And because they are slightly insane.
Yeah, it's like, let's keep in mind they are mental patients.
Yeah, yes. So they keep changing. And so you end up having it on a dog. You have to ring a bell.
To make the text visible. Yes.
You have to dance, and it was in the dark. And I just loved.
Actually, it was in the middle of the afternoon. It looked like when they were dancing.
Okay.
When they brought out the speakers.
Okay, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, it was in the
it felt like, but when everything was being disappeared, it felt darkish to me. Maybe because the sun was behind all the things.
Or it could have been just getting closer to sunset. Who knows? Yeah.
But either way, that was wonderful. I love how, Jane's slightly insane too, so she doesn't try to rein them in. She's like, yeah, sure, let's go with that. So that was a lot of fun. And I think Alan Tudyk's narration helps sell that. The idea.
Yeah, because he's essentially, even though he's kind of breaking the fourth wall because we can hear him.
Yes.
He's projecting back to Jane.
Yes, back and forth.
And we're introduced to this brand new personality, Dr. Harrison.
Yeah.
Who is essentially almost like Jane's therapist persona.
Yes.
But she has the ability to influence people.
Right.
Which makes her by talking and persuade them to the point of almost mind control a little bit. And so which is perfect for the Chief and Mr. Nobody's plan.
It was. And my only, this is probably not fair, Charles, but it felt a little cliche, the slightly sadistic, doctor running the mental,
institution.
And the people, the orderlies being, mean. It just was a slightly cliche. I understand why they went their way, but that was a small thing that bothered me. Did that bother you at all?
Well, a little bit, but I understood because it was part of Jane's whole problem is that she's in this repeated abuse.
Right.
As she gets older. Yeah. And this is just another example of the abuse and trauma that she went through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I was okay with it from that perspective.
Sure. Okay.
Interestingly, Dr. Harrison was never created in Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol. This is a brand new personality for the TV show.
Okay.
So this isn't somebody I've met before or read about before.
I was
really intrigued. And it was really even more intriguing once Mr. Nobody mentions that, did I happen to mention that Dr. Harrison is insane?
Yeah.
So this personality is yes, Jane has issues. Jane has some serious mental issues and her name is Crazy Jane, but apparently this persona is even more diabolically insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was at first slightly confused by using the word doctor, by having her named as a doctor. But then very quickly I learned, oh, okay, that's this persona.
Yes.
Really like this persona. I continue to love
Diane Guerrero.
Yeah, and this Jane. The more I watch her,
she's
the
an
more
amazing actress.
she
keep
is.
Doing all these, I can obviously see why she was cast for this role, because she does a great job with the different personalities.
Exactly.
And I mean, she gives every personality, especially Dr. Harrison in this one. She's very calm and focused and deliberate.
Yes.
And it's just obviously a complete change from characters like Hammerhead or Baby Doll. And it just kind of shows her range as an actress.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So, Dr. Bertrand, in the process of kind of like tormenting Jane while she's strapped to a table, kind of gets exposed a little bit by Dr. Harrison.
Yes.
Apparently part of like Dr. Harrison's powers is that she can like kind of read his mind, I think. Mm-hmm. And go into his past, so that she calls him out. She goes like, here he is. He's this big, like abusive, horrible person. And she goes, she talks about his childhood and how his mother, apparently because he was an underdeveloped as a child, and his mother called him teeny weeny peeny. And apparently that whole trauma is what partly why he's such a horrible person as an adult.
Yes, absolutely.
So in the process of being tortured, she's just kind of torturing her torturer right back.
Yes, she is.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I loved it. I was very happy with it. I wasn't sure if they were going to go with him actually stabbing his eye. Or not. I was surprised that didn't happen. I was kind of waiting for it. I was waiting for it too. So I was very happy with this, and like the idea that this persona of Jane, the doctor, is protecting herself. It was nice with.
You notice that happens with a lot of Jane's personalities, that they're very protective of Jane.
Yes, and that's very cool. I like it a lot.
And Bertrand was trying to get to the fact, the root of what happened to her. He's like, his whole thing was he wanted to know when young Kay Chalice became Jane.
Yes.
But obviously that wasn't addressed.
Yeah.
He didn't get that far because Dr. Harrison put the whammy on him, essentially.
Yeah.
All right. And we talked about a little bit, you already talked about the cult of the rewritten book, The Mental Patients. One of those mental patients, of course, young Marilyn.
Yes.
Who's the one that kind of suggests, that of the ringing of the bell.
Yes.
And because of that, Dr. Harrison decides, okay, you're my chosen one. Mm-hmm. You're going to be the one that reminds me to ring the bell.
Yes.
At the right time, which is why we see her all those years later, and after apparently a lot of cigarettes, which is why she's rocking the oxygen tank.
Well, and there is
and a lot of Springsteen shows, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is, and I guess they didn't want to pay for a Springsteen T-shirt.
Right.
Is the only reason why she wasn't in one, or maybe that would have been too obvious.
Well, she did, like I said, she did have the
Born to Run
sticker on her oxygen tank.
Yeah, they set her up as a smoker at the with the young Marilyn, and truly.
Not a good representation for Springsteen fans, I might have to say.
Yeah,
there basically older former mental patients on an oxygen tank. That's his fan base.
Yeah, and well, she, I said that there are many images that shows your wheels have come off. as one of our local sports guys talk a lot about, the station. But your wheels are off if you're in an oxygen tank still smoking. First off, that's incredibly dangerous.
Right.
Secondly, just, dude, let it go, right?
Right.
So, yes.
You think the oxygen tank would have been the tip-off.
Yes, absolutely.
That you need to let it go. But,
okay.
Hey, Marilyn's a rocker, and she's not going to let that go.
Nope.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So anything else about these characters before we move on to our third topic?
Nope. Good stuff.
All right. So third topic, and this one you could probably guess the topic theme. Ring my bell, ring my bell, my bell. Yeah. So this is the Anita Ward song that gets played when the cult of the rewritten book comes in with a giant ass speaker.
Yes.
With an umbrella up top, presumably to protect it in case it rains, because you don't want a speaker getting wet. And blasting this song as they just march right up the street, right in front of where Larry has the Doom Patrol bus parked.
Right.
And very interesting visual. They kind of park there, and then they just start partying. They start dancing and just dancing the music, as Dr. Harrison asked them to, all those years ago. And so I want to talk about. Now we talked about the cult, but here I want to talk about Cliff, Jane, and Mother Archon, because Jane ends up ringing the bell.
Right. And
which solves our particular problem. So this is Cliff and Jane in Nurnheim, along with Mother Archon. And we also should talk about, of course, about older Marilyn, who all these years later shows up to do what she was instructed to do.
Yeah, she was asked. Yeah, she had a plan.
Yep. So what did you think about the whole Nurnheim stuff going on?
So without much thought, I'd go with Wrecking Ball.
Yeah.
Bring on your Wrecking Ball is a line from Springsteen's song that he wrote when the Meadowlands Stadium was being brought down, was being destroyed, and he wrote that. He was one of the last people who played there, and so he has this Bring on your Wrecking Ball line in the song Wrecking Ball. Give it your best shot. We know what you've got. Bring on your Wrecking Ball. So first off, I love Cliff and Jane together every time.
Right.
And even Penny Farthing, right?
Yeah. Well, Penny Farthing kind of stands up for herself in this one.
She does, and I like that. I like that a lot. So
what did you think about? Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
So Cliff, he's still trying to understand what's going on. Like, we saw Jane as still in the form of young Kay Chalice.
Yeah.
And she scoops up Cliff's brain off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking to Mother Archon. She goes like, I don't want to be Jane anymore.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to be Kay anymore. Excuse me. She doesn't want to be Kay anymore. So Mother Archon's kind of talking to her and kind of vaguely remembers like, hey, I used to have a little person like you once upon a time, but I don't remember. I guess that's like a gift from the eye that I don't remember. So she's not really remembering that, oh, hey, she killed her husband and was willing to sacrifice her son to this recreator.
Yeah.
Or the decreator, excuse me. And they leave the castle. They're back in their normal forms once again.
Yeah.
So presumably Mother Archon changed them back or what have you. And Cliff is like, okay, so who is that little girl, that K girl? What's the deal with her? And at this time, it's kind of Penny Farthing starts and then switches to Hammerhead in the process of talking. And, Cliff keeps pressing her, and he's kind of pissed off about the situation. And Penny Farthing tells him, like, hey, shut up. You're not the only one who has emotion, or like I'm not the only, or Jane isn't the only personality with emotions that feels anything. And Cliff is kind of forced to apologize to Penny Farthing for losing his cool with her.
Yeah, Cliff was. I loved him being in a rant. Now, in my mind, what I thought is they truly had not changed form. It's just their mental image was that.
Right.
And then once they moved out of the range of the crazy mom, they could see themselves as they really are. I loved him being mad, though I did when he talked about the snow. In my mind, I'm like, it's not really snow. It's a snow globe.
But see, this is where he figures out that he's a snow globe, because he packs a snowball and he throws it angrily.
Yeah, and it
hits the glass.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the F?
And did one of the scenes I loved is when they tell the chief all this, and he immediately goes to the snow globe because he knows where they're at.
He knows exactly what it is.
Yeah,
yes.
Which I liked that a lot.
And Kipling was like, "Hey, you stole that from me."
Yeah. So I that was cool. I just was really. This was really a good thing to see, and because last time I was really kind of had enough with Penny. But this time, I think she showed a little something.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, and I think it kind of got a message to Cliff that, like, hey, because Hammerhead kind of slips in after that.
Yeah.
And, like, Cliff's talking about, like, hey, I just wanted to talk to Jane.
Yes.
And make sure she's okay or whatever. And Hammerhead says, like, look, we're not an effing menu. You can't just order one of us up. You get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of us have feelings and emotions just like Jane does.
Yes.
So I think that hopefully gave Cliff a little more insight into Jane, hopefully.
I agree.
Yeah, so we'll see. But Jane, when Marilyn shows up.
Yes.
Older Marilyn. Still rocking the oxygen tank and still smoking.
Do we know how she got in the snow globe?
Yes, we do, because she talks about that.
Okay.
There's this,
that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
there's this one.
I've
line.
saved that's one of my lines. So okay. Yes.
Yeah. So
okay.
So she basically found her way into the snow globe.
Yeah.
Nurnheim, and she's like, hey, Dr. Harrison, it's me. But if it's at this point, it's still, I think, either Jane or Hammerhead.
Right.
And she has to kind of remind her. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Harrison appears.
Exactly.
And she's like, oh, Marilyn, hi, and hugs her. And
the great line, I know, I look just a lot. I haven't changed a bit, which was so funny. Yeah.
And so here it is all these years later. And then Dr. Harrison realizes, though, oh, hey, I need to ring the bell.
Yes.
So in this great moment, though, older Marilyn acts as a distraction to allow Cliff and Jane, Cliff and Dr. Harrison, to slip off past the Hoodmen who show up and Mother Archon. And so older Marilyn kind of dukes it out with Mother Archon while Cliff and Jane escape. And there's that great scene where older Marilyn confronts Mother Archon, and it's obviously probably going to be one of your favorite lines of the episode, so I won't spoil it.
Yes.
But she essentially takes out Mother Archon by pushing forward her oxygen tank, and she pulls out a gun and shoots it, exploding it.
Yes.
So she realizes that was her purpose. So she's just like, I know I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to die. So I'm just going to live my life the way I want and, keep smoking no matter what.
That's well done. Yeah, I had not thought about that, but yeah, that's very it. Good.
Yeah. She realizes, well, hey, as long as I can be there, that's all that matters. So, but I thought that was really rather interesting, and I thought that was a good moment. And then, of course, Jane rings the bell, and that, of course, shatters the snow globe, presumably returning Cliff and Jane back to Earth. And this is where they kind of, and this allows, of course, Willoughby Kipling to read the rewritten book on the pug. And that was a great moment where Kipling, Rita, and Larry, they go to where they think the book is, the rewritten book is, and they think it's this guy. And it turns out, well, no, he's just some douchebag that has tattoos.
Yeah.
And it's actually his dog, his pug.
I love that.
And once the bell is rung, that the words appear, and then Kipling can read it, and that creates the recreator, who's this giant eyeball in the sky that kind of faces off.
The other big eyeball in the sky.
Yeah, so we have this eyeball to eyeball, and Kipling makes this one great comment that he's like, I think they're having a stare fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the recreator recreates all the people that the decreator didn't, or destroyed, erased.
Yeah.
With the possible exception of Elliot, the unwritten book that Rita was looking for. So what did you think of all that? I know it's kind of a mouthful.
No, I loved everything about it. I love the idea that you've balanced the scales.
Right.
You know, we've got this eye of destruction, and we basically have an eye of creation. You know, the eliminating, de-eliminating. You know, and so we kind of balanced the scales, and that was, instead of trying to figure out a way for it not to happen, our blood brothers figured out a way to countermeasure it, to counteract it, and so that was a good decision. I don't know. Is this?
You were okay with the resolution?
Yeah, I like the resolution a lot. Now, was this similar to the storyline in the comic?
No. Interestingly enough, it's a very different ending.
Okay.
And we talked about, like, the last time, that the first part was a lot like the storyline from Doom Patrol 31 to 33, but in Grant Morris's run. But here, it's considerably different, and probably a lot less out there than Grant Morrison. But you okay?
Yes, make a note to edit my coffee coughing out. Yes, but I'm back. Okay.
All right.
So you were saying the story.
So basically, yeah, it wasn't very representative of the source material this time. All right.
Were you happy with the ending, though?
I was okay. I mean, yeah, granted, I would have obviously loved to have seen something more faithful, but I was okay with this. I mean, I thought it worked out fine. And it made sense given what we've seen up to this point.
Okay, good deal.
So it worked out. Now, interestingly, we get a little tease, another flashback tease back when the chief is kind of driving Jane / Dr. Harrison away from the mental institution, that Mr. Nobody contacts her again with another request. And that's going to set up our next episode, where that apparently carries off into the present, and we see Jane painting in the yard and on the grounds, and all of a sudden she's like, "Who the F is the Doom Patrol?"
Yeah, I was a little surprised about that. I did not quite understand that.
Have you seen the trailer for next week?
Yes, I did, and it looks almost like they're in uniforms or something in little pieces. So yeah. So this could be fun.
We'll talk about that when we talk about our next time.
Okay.
But apparently we get the Doom Patrol doesn't go by the handle Doom Patrol.
Right.
But apparently there was another group of the Doom Patrol.
Oh, okay. So good. All right.
So before them.
Okay.
And that's who we're going to meet next week.
Awesome. Good.
All right. So, so that was an interesting tease. Anything else about this episode?
Nope. Just I like I said, I really like it. They continue. I thought they stuck the landing. It was a good ending.
Right.
to, for a nice two-parter. Once again, I feel like we continued the story. We see how the chief got Jane to be part of his family.
Right.
Which was, I thought, really nice because she's not trusting him. She doesn't trust anyone, and he says, there's a key underneath the bench. You're going to have to get up closer for me to take that, and then say, hopefully you'll never have this doctor's, a medical bracelet, a hospital bracelet again.
Right.
I thought that was a really sweet ending, and kind of showing this kind of...
It shows you why Jane trusted him.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, which of course is essential because that's what gets her back to Doom Manor to meet the other Doom Patrol members. All right. Favorite lines of the episode?
So, obviously, I had to give you. I did not write Ezekiel's lines.
Yeah.
I just
I was gonna write it, but I've had some better lines, so I kind of cut his.
So I just love him. I mean, because he's really not adding anything to the story except comedy relief. It is just wonderful.
They're fun asides, and here they kite him in with the decreator.
Yeah, so
it's like it seems to show up when there's all these disasters.
Yeah, so obviously,
and like, this time is really going to be the end of the world.
I have faith. It's only going to be you and me. Of course, there'll be cheese.
Yeah.
How hard can cheese be to make?
Yeah, he's arguing with a rat, which is kind of fun. All right.
Marilyn, older Marilyn.
Yes.
Honey. I just traveled all the way from Jersey to Barcelona, cut open a priest, climbed inside him, and landed in a snow globe, and now I'm standing here talking to a friggin' robot man. I love that one.
I don't think I'm mistaken. So, this is because Cliff had asked her, like, I think you're mistaken, lady.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she says all that, and then she says, like, I don't think I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Then, of course, the line that you got a fist bump on, I'm sure.
Yes.
When Mother Akron, you think you could spit in the face of God? And Marilyn, lady, the only God I worship is Springsteen, and I've spat in his face twice. Which is not a very good fan. Why would you want to spit in Bruce's face? Maybe she just meant because she was so close to him.
Maybe, and just accidentally she was cheering so loud.
Yes, exactly. So yes, those are great.
Or maybe she thought he would be turned on by that. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So what do you got?
It's those Springsteen fans. You got to watch out for them Springsteen fans.
We are a crazy bunch.
Yes, you are. All right. So I have some lines. So early in the episode where we have Rita talking about trying to protect Elliot. And she goes, I promised to protect him, Larry. I looked out for him. I wasn't a lousy bitch for once.
Yeah.
Turns out a snake can change her stripes. And Larry's like, tigers. Rita goes, what? It doesn't matter. I have to know if he's okay. And Larry says, well, for God's sakes, don't get yourself raptured or something.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
That was good as she goes outside. And then I also had the Chief and Kipling, where the Chief's talking about I had no choice. And this is, of course, when he's talking about forming an alliance with Mr. Nobody. And Kipling goes, no need to explain. I'm done playing Gooseberry. And unlike this collection of limp dicks you've assembled, I'm perfectly aware the apocalypse makes for some very odd bedfellows. Survival and all that. Now, tell us what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. Do you have any other quotes?
No. I think I'm good. Go ahead. You got some more?
Yeah, I got one more here. This is the one between Baphomet and the Chief, which I thought was really good. And Kipling, I should say. So Baphomet goes, she sees Niles, and she goes, there's that silky voice I miss. like hot jam and honey. You really do turn my trot into a gallop, Mr. Calder. And the Chief goes, oh, you're too kind. And Kipling is looking at this going, are you two going to get a stable, or can we get on with this recreator business?
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great line. I had to give that. That was a really good exchange. So, nothing else?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, what's your rating for this one?
I give this very obvious 9 out of 10 Born to Run oxygen tanks.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I kind of figured that, so I held off on that one. I was going to obviously do the oxygen tank, but I can give that.
Yeah.
So I give this one. I was a little less than you because I think I was a little disappointed that it wasn't as faithful to the comic book. So I give it 8.5 out of 10. The Decreator and You pamphlets.
Oh, nice.
And this was this thing that Mr. Nobody handed out to Dr. Harrison.
Yes.
When he's trying to recruit her, he's like hands her this pamphlet. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like all about the Decreator.
Yeah, and I probably
like a cult recruiting pamphlet.
Yeah, and I probably would have given this 8, but I gave it an extra point for the Springsteen shout out, considering just last week.
I would have been very surprised that you didn't. Yes.
Because last week we just had talked about I wanted Cliff to wear a Springsteen T-shirt, and so I got even a little bit more. So that's great.
So this makes up for that.
Yes, it does. I still want Cliff in a Springsteen T-shirt, but yes.
Well, yeah, well, he's rocking bands like the Dead Kennedys and the Clash. I wouldn't get your hopes up, personally.
I'm just saying.
Bruce is a little less edgy than that.
So you think. All
right. So now I do have some Titans Tower news this week.
Ooh, good.
So some updates on Season 2 and also on this Season 1 Blu-ray. I want to get out. All right. Really quick, Esai Morales is joining Titans Season 2 as Deathstroke.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. He was really good in way back in NYPD Blue. He was one of the guys who played the captain, the guy running the precinct. He's been in Jericho, I believe. He played that. So yeah, he's a really good actor. I think he'll do a great job as Deathstroke.
Yeah, I'm really kind of interested to see how he plays it. He's obviously a little different than what we're used to, but
yeah,
I think he's going to be perfectly fine at it.
I think so
he's going to be really good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The character's bio from the show, for those wondering how they're going to approach Deathstroke in this on Titans, excuse me, is that Slade Wilson is known for being DC's deadliest assassin.
Yep.
While serving in his country, Slade became an elite soldier before government testing enhanced his physiology to near superhuman levels, putting him on a path of darkness and revenge. To his family, Slade is a father and husband, but to the rest of the world, he is feared by many as the infamous Deathstroke, selling his services to the highest bidder as the ruthless assassin that never gives up and never misses.
That should be really good. Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I am a little worried.
Yes.
About this is a very crowded field they're putting together for Season 2.
Yes. We talked about that.
Yes.
That they need to wrap up the Trigon stuff before they move into the Deathstroke stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now I also have some news on the Titans Season 1 Blu-ray.
Okay.
Apparently, Warner Brothers has announced that the first season will be released now. So if you're one of those people that didn't sign up for DC Universe, and shame on you if you didn't.
And why are you listening to this podcast?
Well, maybe you want to get some advanced knowledge, I guess. I don't know. But apparently it's going to be released on other digital services, including iTunes, Google Play, and Vudu on March 21st. So that's like just 4 days from now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be out. I already saw that iTunes already had kind of like one of the special feature documentaries up for Titans. So if you want to check that out. But apparently it's going to be it's available for pre-order for $24.99 if you're interested in picking that up. And even though they apparently haven't done an exact date yet, the season will be released on Blu-ray and DVD sometime before the premiere of Season 2 in the fall.
Okay.
So in addition to all 11 episodes, it's going to have about 40 minutes of special features on it as well. So if you're looking forward to that. So I just thought if you're one of those that want to kind of like say, hey, check out Titans. If you're a Titans fan and you don't get DC Universe, you can at least start giving it to people as gifts or what have you. Or if you're one of those people that wants a hard, tangible physical copy in case things go completely bluey. Not a bad idea. You can buy that. That's why I do buy them.
I was hoping for more extras.
Right.
I don't know if there's enough, and since they're not giving us they're not paying us to promote it, I don't know if it's enough for me to buy the DVD set. I was looking to see if there was more. I'm going to be getting it anyway, so I can let you know if it's worth buying. Okay, sounds good.
I'll let you know what I think.
And we should let the rest of the our listeners know.
Well, that's why I thought we could talk about it briefly.
Good, sounds good.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll see if I'll give my recommendation for the Blu-ray set.
Very nice.
All right. We do have some Tell It to Titan talk.
Yay!
So catching up from last week is DJ Nick from Milan, Italy, who kind of slides in after our last recording, and he wants to talk Cult Patrol. So might as well do his first. He goes, "Howdy to my favorite two podcasters." So howdy right back to you, Nick. Wow, I love this episode for two reasons. One, Mark Sheppard as Willoughby Kipling was pure genius and a spot-on choice. He brought out the best of the rest of the cast, not to mention that like myself, you and other Whovians must have been super happy to see him again. Exactly.
Yes, it was.
Number two, thanks to the addition of the aforesaid character, this show can now go in so many crazy directions. It can only get even better from here.
Good.
So, and Willoughby Kipling does return in the comics for other storylines. So hopefully we'll get to see Mark Sheppard again on the show.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully we haven't seen the last of Willoughby Kipling. He goes on. Furthermore, Diane's portrayal and it's talking Diane Guerrero. Diane's portrayal as Jane is inspired, and one can only wonder whether one of her personalities could put out the rest of the team in serious jeopardy. Not to mention having the Beatles as the base of a foundation of a spell and a cliffhanger ending just made me cry for more. All the best, guys. Looking forward to when our paths will next meet to get to talk about these geeky things we love. You are always awesome. Your pal in time and relative dimensions in space, Nick. So thank you, Nick. We always appreciate hearing from you. And can't wait to talk to you again. So
absolutely,
hopefully we're gonna try and have Nick back on the show to kind of wrap up our Doom Patrol season 1.
Absolutely.
And give his insights on the show. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned, everybody, for that. And then we also have Holly from Wisconsin, Holly Mack, writing in about Paw Patrol, this week's episode.
Good.
She goes, "What a good episode. We find out more about Jane and the Dr. Harrison character. I wonder if this is the last we will see of Willoughby." Well, like I said, hopefully not. Mr. Nobody is also upping his game. I wonder if Vic's dad isn't going to come showing up after the SOS repair button was pushed. Not much else to say. We'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So thanks to you as well, Holly. Always lovely to hear from you. And we don't know. Maybe we'll see Silas Stone returning. It was interesting that Vic was so afraid to have that button pushed to self-repair because that apparently tips off his dad. And he's really not wanting to talk to his dad right now.
Yeah, I did like that scene where
he's doing everything he can not to talk to his dad.
Yeah, repaired that, and it was good.
Yep. All right. So if you want to be like Nick or Holly and you'd like to write to us here at Titan Talk, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us at titantalkcast@gmail.com. That's titantalkcast@gmail.com. The Gmail. And otherwise, you can reach us at Titan Talk Cast on Twitter, or you can reach us at Facebook at Titan Talk, the Titans Podcast. So please like and follow us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. And Jesse, where can they reach you on the interwebs?
So I can be reached at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter. I am on Facebook, Jesse Jackson in Louisville, Texas. You can find me on this wonderful Southgate Media Network, talking to Charles about Doctor Who and the Whovian universe, though right now I am only a part-time contribution, but we continue to have new episodes every week of Next Stop Everywhere with guest hosts. And then, of course, the Set Listing Bruce, my podcast all about Bruce Springsteen fandom. And coming up in the next few weeks, I'll be talking with Small Council Matters as we go through the final episodes of Game of Thrones.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
Yes.
Sounds excellent.
And
all right,
Charles, if they want to catch more of you, how can they?
Well, as for me, they can reach me on the interwebs at Charles Skeggs on Twitter or at Charles Skeggs on the Instagram. Facebook, of course, at Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio. Or my blog at Geeky Things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn good coffee and hot. Where I talk about all the stuff we talk about here on Titan Talk, including Doom Patrol or Titans or all kinds of comic book sci-fi news. And news of my other podcasts, including the aforementioned Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast that I do with Jesse, where Jesse's going to be joining us shortly to come back and talk about the rather controversial story, The Talons of Weng Chiang, from the Tom Baker era. So stay tuned for that, everybody. Or also Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast that I do with Zan Sprouse, wife of comic book artist Chris Sprouse, where I talk about all things Twin Peaks, David Lynch, etc., etc. So if you're one of those people that's into weird shows like Doom Patrol and you like Twin Peaks, you might want to check that out.
Yay.
So please do. We definitely appreciate it. And other than that, next time on Titan Talk, we're going to talk Doom Patrol Patrol. And yes, I realize that sounds redundant, but apparently they patrolled the Paws in this story. They're going to patrol the Doom Patrol in the next story, episode 6, as Jane, Rita, and Larry visit a school where the original Doom Patrol has retired. And meanwhile, Cliff and Vic bond over their mutual father issues.
Nice.
So I guess we know about Vic's, but apparently Cliff's got some daddy issues as well.
Good.
So we'll see about that next time. But if you watch the trailer, you know that Mento, a.k.a. Steve Dayton, the one who marries Rita Farr, the last woman, is in that story.
Yeah.
And it looks like, I'm guessing, Celsius from the Doom Patrol group that was right before Grant Morrison's run, and who's the one at Celsius is the wife of the chief. And it looks like Lodestone, her real name is Rhea Jones, who plays a major part in Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol run. As she goes a rather disturbing transformation that I'm wondering if we're going to see on the show.
Ooh.
So stay tuned. So
very nice.
So I think Lodestone's a character to watch. We'll talk about that more next week.
Perfect.
So I'll just tease that right there. So everybody, thank you so much for listening to Titan Talk. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all our listeners, everybody that writes in, listens to the show. Please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, wake the dog, and let them know that we're out there. Please go rate and review us on iTunes so that people can find us. And Jesse, any final words before we sign off?
No, once again, I really do love this series. I just think they have done they've really found this a little bit. It's just different,
right?
And I just applaud that. So I'm very happy that it's different. I'm really just good stuff.
Yeah, and apparently I found out DC Universe is releasing the first episodes of Titans and Doom Patrol for free on their website.
Oh, good.
So if you're not signed up yet, you could check out those 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And if you want to give either one of those a try. So
yeah.
So if you know any people that might be into Doom Patrol, that might be a way to get them to do that.
Absolutely.
So just a recommendation. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Come on back for Doom Patrol, episode 6 of Doom Patrol, right here on Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone. See, I wanted to be redundant like they're being redundant.
There you go. Department of Redundancy Department.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.